Hello everyone, welcome to Indian Polity audiobook series, and today we are going to start with our chapter number 4. Chapter number 4, Preamble of the Constitution. The American Constitution was the first to begin with the preamble. Many countries, including India, followed this practice. The term preamble refers to the introduction or preface to the Constitution. It contains the summary of or the essence of the Constitution. N.A. Palkhiwala, an eminent jurist and constitution expert, called the preamble as the identity card of the Constitution. The preamble to the Indian Constitution is based on the objective resolution drafted and moved by Pandit Nehru and adopted by the Constituent Assembly. It has been amended by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, which added three new words: socialist, secular, and integrity. Text of the preamble. The preamble in its present Text of the preamble. The preamble in its present form reads, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution." Ingredients of the preamble. The preamble reveals four ingredients or components. First, source of authority of the Constitution. The preamble states that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India. Nature of Indian state. It declares India to be of a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic polity. Objectives of the Constitution. It specifies justice, liberty, equality and fraternity as the objectives. Date of adoption of the Constitution. It stipulates November 26, 1949 as the date. Keywords in the preamble. Certain keywords: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity are explained as follows. Sovereign. The word sovereign implies that India is neither a dependency nor a dominion of any other nation, but an independent state. There is no authority above it, and it is free to conduct its own affair, both internal and external. Though in 1949, India declared the Constitution offered full membership of the Commonwealth of Nations and accepted the British Crown as the head of the Commonwealth, this extra constitutional declaration does not affect India's sovereignty in any manner. Further, India's membership of United Nations organization also in no way constitute a limitation on her sovereignty. Being a sovereign state, India can either acquire a foreign territory or cede a part of the territory in favor of a foreign state. Socialist. Even before the term was added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976, the Constitution had a socialist content in the form of certain directive principles of state policy. In other words, what was thereto implicit in the Constitution has now made explicit. Moreover, the Congress Party itself adopted a resolution to establish a socialist patron of society in its Avdi session as early as in 1955 and took measures accordingly. Notably, the Indian brand of socialism is a democratic socialism and not a communistic socialism. also known as socialism, which involves the nationalization of all means of production and distribution and the abolition of private property. Democratic socialism, on the other hand, holds faith in the mixed economy, where both public and private sectors coexist side by side. As the Supreme Court says, democratic socialism aims to end poverty, ignorance, disease, and inequality of opportunity. Indian socialism is a blend of Marxism and Gandhism, leaning heavily towards the Gandhian socialism. The new economic policy in 1991 of liberalization, privatization, and globalization has, however, diluted the socialistic credentials of the Indian state. Secular. The term secular too was added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. However, as the Supreme Court said in 1974, although the words secular state were not expressly mentioned in the Constitution, there can be no doubt that Constitution maker want to establish a state, and accordingly Article 25 to 28 guaranteeing the fundamental rights to the freedom of religion have been included in the Constitution. The Indian Constitution embodies the positive concept of secularism, that is, all religions in the country, irrespective of their strength, have same status and support from the state. Democratic. A democratic polity, as stipulated in the preamble, is based on the doctrine of popular sovereignty, that is, possession of supreme power of the people. Democracy is of two types, direct and indirect. In direct democracy, the people exercise their supreme power directly, as is the case in Switzerland. There are four devices of indirect democracy, namely referendum, initiative, recall, and plebiscite. In indirect democracy, on the other hand, the representatives elected by the people exercise the supreme power and thus carry on the government and make the law. This type of democracy, also known as representative democracy, is of two kinds, parliamentary and presidential. The Indian Constitution provides for the representative parliamentary democracy, under which the executive is responsible to the legislature for all its policies and actions. Universal adult franchise, periodic elections, rule of law, independence of judiciary, and absence of discrimination on certain grounds are the manifestation of democratic character of Indian polity. The term democratic is used in the preamble in the broader sense, embracing not only political democracy but also social and economic democracy. This dimension was stressed by Dr. Ambedkar in his concluding speech in the Constituent Assembly on November 25, 1949 in the following way: political democracy cannot last unless there lies as the base of it social democracy. What does social democracy means? It means a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, and fraternity. The principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity are not to be treated as the separate items in the Trinity. They form a union of Trinity in the sense that to divorce one from other is to defeat the very purpose of democracy. Liberty cannot be divorced from equality, equality cannot be divorced from liberty, nor can liberty and the equality be divorced from fraternity. Without equality, liberty would produce the supremacy of the few over the many. Equality without liberty would kill individual initiative. In the same context, the Supreme Court observed in 1997 that the Constitution envisions to establish an egalitarian social order, rendering to every citizen social, economic, and political justice in a social and economic democracy of the Bharat Republic. A democratic polity can be classified into two categories: monarchy and republic. In a monarchy, the head of the state, usually king or queen, enjoys the hereditary position. That is, he comes into office through succession. Example, Britain. In a republic, on the other hand, the head of the state is always elected directly or indirectly for a fixed period. Example, USA. Therefore, the term republic in our preamble indicates that India has an elected head called the president. He is elected indirectly for a fixed period of 5 years. A republic also means two more things. One, vesting of political sovereignty in the people and not a single individual like a king. Second, the absence of any privileged classes and hence all public offices being open to every citizen without any discrimination. Justice. The term justice in the preamble embraces three distinct forms: social, economic, and political, secured through various provisions of fundamental rights and directive principles. The social justice denotes the equal treatment of all citizens without any social distinction based on caste, color, race, religion, sex, and so on. It means absence of privileges being extended to any particular section of the society and improvement in the condition of backward classes, SCs, STs, and OBCs and women. Economic justice denotes the non-discrimination between the people on the basis of economic factors. It involves the elimination of glaring inequalities in wealth, income, and poverty. A combination of social justice and economic justice denotes what is known as distributive justice. Political justice implies that all citizens should have equal political rights, equal access to political offices, and equal voice in the government. The ideal of justice, social, economic, and political, has been taken from Russian Revolution 1917. Liberty. The term liberty means the absence of restraints on the activities of individuals and at the same time providing opportunities for the development of the individual personalities. The preamble secures to all citizens of India liberty of thought expression, belief, faith, and worship through their fundamental rights enforceable in court of law in case of violation. Liberty, as elaborated in the preamble, is very essential for the successful functioning of Indian democratic system. However, liberty does not mean license to do what one likes and has to be enjoyed within limitations mentioned in the Constitution itself. In brief, the liberty conceived by the preamble or fundamental rights is not absolute but qualified. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity in our preamble have been taken from French Revolution 1789 to 1799. Equality. The term equality means the absence of special privileges to any section of the society and provisions of adequate opportunities for all individuals without any discrimination. The preambles secures to all citizens of India equality of status and opportunity. This provision embraces three dimensions of equality: civic, political, and economic. The following provisions of the chapter on fundamental rights ensure civic equality. equality before law. Article 14, prohibition of discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Article 15, equality of opportunity in matter of public employment. Article 16, abolition of untouchability. Article 17, abolition of titles. Article 18. There are two provisions in the Constitution that seek to achieve political equality. 1. No person is to be declared ineligible for inclusion in electoral rolls on the grounds of religion, race, caste, or sex. Article 325. 2. Election to the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies to be on the basis of adult suffrage. Article 326. The Directive Principle of State Policy. Article 39 secures to men and women equal rights to an adequate means of livelihood and equal pay for equal work. Fraternity. Fraternity means a sense of brotherhood. The Constitution promotes this feeling of fraternity by the system of single citizenship. Also, the fundamental duties. Article 51A says that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, regional, and sectional diversities. The preamble declares that the fraternity has to ensure two things: the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. The word integrity has been added to the preamble by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment 1976. According to K.M. Munshi, a member of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly, the phrase dignity of the individual signifies that the Constitution not only ensures material betterment and maintain a democratic setup, but it also recognizes that the personality of every individual is sacred. This is highlighted through some of the provisions of the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy, which ensure the dignity of the individual. Further, the fundamental duties, Article 51A, also protects the dignity of women by stating that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women, and also make it duty of every citizen of India to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. The phrase unity and integrity of nation embraces both psychological and territorial dimensions of the national integration. Article 1 of Constitution describes India as a union of states to make it clear that the states have no right to secede from the union, implying the indestructible natures of the Indian Union. It aims at overcoming hindrances to national integration like communalism, regionalism, casteism, linguism, secessionism, and so on. Significance of the preamble. The preamble embodies the basic philosophy and fundamental values, political, moral, and religious, on which the Constitution is based. It contains the grand and noble vision of the Constituent Assembly and reflects the dreams and aspirations of the founding father of the Constitution. In the words of Sir Aladi Krishna Swamy Iyer, a member of Constituent Assembly who played a significant role in making the Constitution, the preamble to our Constitution expresses what we have thought or dreamt so long. According to K.M. Munshi, a member of drafting committee of Constituent Assembly, the preamble is the horoscope of our sovereign democratic republic. Pandit Thakurdas Bhargava, another member of the Constituent Assembly, summed up the importance of the preamble in the following words: the preamble is most precious part of the Constitution. It is the soul of the Constitution. It is the key to the Constitution. It is a jewel set to the Constitution. It is a proper yardstick with which one can measure the worth of the Constitution. Sir Ernst Becker, a distinguished English political scientist, said a glowing tribute to the political wisdom of the author of the preamble. He described preamble as a keynote to the Constitution. He was moved by the text of the preamble that he quoted it at the opening of his popular book, Principles of Social and Political Theory. M. Hidayatullah, a former Chief Justice of India, observed, "Preamble resembles the Declaration of Independence of United States of America, but is more than declaration. It is the soul of our Constitution, which lays down the pattern of our political society. It contains a solemn resolve which nothing but a resolution can alter." Preamble as a part of Constitution. One of the controversies about the preamble is as to whether it is a part of a constitution or not. In the Berubari Union case 1960, the Supreme Court said that the preamble shows the general purposes behind the several positions in the Constitution and is thus key to the mind of the makers of the Constitution. Further, where the term is used in any article are ambiguous or capable of more than one meaning, some assistance at interpretation may be taken from the objectives enshrined in the preamble. Despite this recognition of the significance of the preamble, the Supreme Court specifically opined that preamble is not a part of Constitution. In the Keshav Nanda Bharati case 1973, the Supreme Court rejected the earlier opinion and held that preamble is a part of Constitution. It observed that the preamble is of extreme importance as the Constitution should be read and interpreted in the light of the grand and noble vision expressed in the preamble. In the LIC of India case 1995 also, the Supreme Court again held that the preamble is an integral part of the Constitution. Like any other part of the Constitution, the preamble was also enacted by the Constituent Assembly. But after the rest of the Constitution was already enacted, the reason for inserting the preamble at the end was to ensure that it was conformity with the Constitution as adopted by the Constituent Assembly. While forwarding the preamble for votes, the President of the Constituent Assembly said, "The question is that the preamble stands part of the Constitution." The motion was then adopted. Hence, the current opinion held by the Supreme Court that the preamble is a part of Constitution is in consonance with the opinion of the founding father of the Constitution. However, two things should be noted. The preamble is neither a source of power to legislature nor a prohibition upon the power of legislature. It is not justiciable, that is, the provisions are not enforceable in the court of law. Amendability of the Constitution. The question as to whether the preamble can be amended under Article 368 of the Constitution arose for the first time in the historic Keshav Nanda Bharati case 1973. It was urged that the preamble cannot be amended as it is not the part of the Constitution. The petitioner contended that the amending power of the Article 368 cannot be used to destroy or damage the basic element or the fundamental features of the Constitution which are enshrined in the preamble. The Supreme Court, however, held that the preamble is a part of the Constitution. The court stated that the opinion tendered by it in the Berubari Union 1960 in this regard was wrong and held that the preamble can be amended subject to the condition that no amendment is done to the basic features. In other words, the court held that the basic elements of the fundamental features of the Constitution as contained in the preamble cannot be altered by an amendment under the Article 368. The preamble has been amended only once so far in 1976 by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, which has added 3 new words, socialist, secular, and integrity to the preamble. The amendment was held to be valid.